Welcome back to the CSC Garage. In this episode, I'm going to show you just how easy it is to install an ABS delete switch on your RX4. Let's get to it. Installing the switch housing and rocker switch is a simple install with a few tools. We're going to be using some wire cutters, 17mm wrench, 8mm socket, 5mm Allen, some solder, some heat shrink tubing, and a soldering gun. Bang, bang. First thing I want to do is use this 17mm wrench to remove the mirror. Next, we're going to remove the clamp from the clutch perch and we're going to replace it. This switch housing is going to serve as the front half of the clamp as well as hold the rocker switch. So we're going to take an 8mm socket, remove that front clamp. We're going to reuse the screws that are on there. Make sure that clutch lever stays even with the brake lever, and then tighten that down. Now you'll notice there are 3 plugs up on the left side of the handlebar. I'm going to go ahead and get those loose. Sometimes you'll find these plugs tucked down under the cover from the ignition switch, and we're actually going to hide the 2 that we don't use under there after we install this switch. 2 of the plugs have brown wires, one with 2 dark brown and one with 2 light brown. These are for accessories. If you were going to install some lights, you could utilize these. The one plug that has the orange and green wire go to the ABS switch. Now we're going to remove this connector, get it out of the way so we can expose the 2 wires, the green wire and the orange wire. This is what will actually solder into the 2 wires from the switch. I'm going to pull away some of this outer protective tape just so I have a little more room to work with. And I'm going to do the same thing on the rocker switch wire. This rocker switch, this is the black switch. It's got a black and a blue wire exposed. Inside there's a brown wire. We're not going to use that brown wire. I am going to cut away some of this sheath to expose more of these blue and black wires and make it a little easier to solder and work with and get my heat shrink tubing over. But then I'm just going to continue to cut off that brown wire flush with the sheath because it's not going to be used. Now that we have the wires coming from the harness and the wires coming from the switch prepped, I'm going to go ahead and install the rocker switch. So I'm going to feed those wires through the housing. And when I push this in, I want to make sure I have things lined up with the up and down rocker movement of the switch. And firmly but gently push that switch in place. And now I can continue to solder my wires. Now before I connect these wires with solder, I'm going to go ahead and slip over a large piece of heat shrink tubing that will be the final covering, and then 2 smaller pieces for each of the solder joints. And now I'm ready to solder. It doesn't matter which color, green or orange, goes with blue or black, as long as the circuit is complete. Now we want to kind of hide some of this mess. We're going to feed our wires down. I'm going to remove that plastic cover using a 5mm Allen. This covers the ignition switch area. There are 2 screws, and there are 2 little washers. I dropped one, but there's one on each side that hold things in place, and then your 2 screws. I'm going to tuck these under here. I'm also going to use a zip tie just to hold things in place. Now that we have the ABS delete switch installed, we're ready to disable the ABS system. You'll notice that the switch is in the off position, the ignition's in the off position, the kill switch is in the off position. When I turn the ignition switch on, the ABS light will come on. It's a momentary light, but while it's lit, I will then flip the ABS delete switch in the on position. At that point, I'll get 2 quick flashes of the ABS light. It will give you more flashes if you wait, but don't wait. After that second quick flash, you're going to then turn the delete switch in the off position, and we'll get a slow pulse of the ABS light. Let me show you. Turn the ignition on, turn the ABS delete on. 1, 2, off. Now I get that slow pulse of the ABS light signifying that the ABS system has been deleted. I can then start the motorcycle, and I will continue to get that slow pulse of the ABS light signifying it is still disabled. If I want to turn the ABS system back on, I have to fully turn the ignition switch off, and when I turn it back on again, it'll light up and then go off and stay off, signifying that the ABS system is back up and running. Thanks for joining us once again at the CSC Garage. I enjoyed showing you just how easy it is to install an ABS delete switch on your RX4. We do have other switch housings that will hold 2 switches if you wanted to install other accessories. And speaking of other accessories, be sure to check out our website as we have more accessories for the RX4 and tons of accessories for all of the CSC models. And until next time, enjoy the ride.